Hey, welcome back to another Black City Coffee blog. Let's learn something. Mill City Roasters blog, green coffee buying. I just bought some coffee. I bought this. It's coming in a couple days. Usually I get the sugarcane process decaf or the EA process, ethyl acetate process decaf from Colombia. Okay, and that's in here too. I want something 99%. Or that seems what the consensus is, 99% caffeine free. So I'm going with this one. Plus it's scored higher, which I'm going to have to taste this again because the sugarcane one, and it can depend on, each harvest can be a little different, even though the origin and the process and the farmer is the same. So each batch can be different, right? Like a bottle of wine. Each year or each vintage could be a little different than one year to another, in fact. So 84.75, all right. Nothing stellar, but the other one, the Colombian one, was 83 something. 25? I don't know. Lower. A point lower. That's significant, okay? So a point, as we go up in points on the scoring, it is significant. You should be able to taste that, or you should practice in a way that you can taste between 83 and 84. Okay, so this is something I'm always working on. Maybe not so much currently in the couple of months. We've just been so busy. So I haven't been at the cupping table. I haven't been doing a lot of coffee stuff. But once I get back here on the mic and behind the, talking about coffee and stuff, we get going again. We are going to go over to the Mill City Roasters blog. Super, super fresh. October 26th. Green coffee buying basics. Now, a thing with, creating good coffee as a beginner roaster, even as a hobby roaster, or any roaster for that matter, is buying green coffee. You need good ingredients. To make good things, you need good ingredients, to make stellar things anyway. You can make good stuff, I think, with good ingredients. To make excellent stuff, you need excellent ingredients, generally, okay? So let's see what we can learn. I'm going to read this. I haven't read it. I want to be surprised and delighted, candidly, and then I'll cut it down based on what I feel is significant to you guys. It's a long blog, okay? Look at this. Again, same thing as before, as when I, broke down another one of their blog posts, is just to learn, see what we can distill by kind of reading it aloud, like in a classroom setting. Depending on your coffee quality target, buying green coffee can be either easy or one heck of a lot of work. If you're roasting very dark and or flavoring coffee, your job might be as simple as selecting a coffee based on price, which is what a lot of people do, right? Sourcing higher quality specialty coffees is more rigorous. The first step is to source and evaluate samples from a veritable galaxy of vendors and their numerous offerings. You'll need to decide on a vendor, make a purchasing decision, take delivery, and develop roast profiles that do justice to the work someone put into that green. Yes. So it's not only finding it, but as a roaster, you now must take it upon yourself to find out what is the best profile that highlights what this farmer has cultivated in this green. How can I unlock it? And I want to caution this as a roaster because I think it is just as idealistic and precious and sort of like saintly that undertaking may be. I really don't want it to get in the way of just like going through the motions and someday getting there, and not holding yourself to that standard so harshly, right? I think we can almost get in our way by trying to be very perfect with things, right? I think we can agree that the fear of perfection often breeds like paralysis in a way, or just getting hung up on things that kind of don't matter sometimes. Doesn't that kind of bother some of you? I know it bothers me. All right, let's talk about types of importers. Working with a traditional importer offers real advantages. Importers typically have long-established relationships with producers at origin. Professional importers do not only major in middlemen. Oh, man. I'm going to try not to laugh so much and just read. To ensure quality, successful importers often bankroll growers years in advance of delivery. Yeah. So that means sometimes when we're trying to, this was explained to me through by Jared from Hesse, is like, we're trying to nurture a relationship. So we're just going to pre-buy a year's worth of coffee, even though I don't know the quality of this green. You're going out on a limb and you're saying, hey, I'm trusting you, do your best. I'm looking for these types of, flavors and this type of quality, in terms of green quality. And we're talking about hard data quality. People are certified Q graders going out to origin and grading their coffee and cupping it and then bringing it back to America or whatever. And then hoping with good faith that everybody's just doing their job, and stepping up in the way that they should, okay? To ensure quality, successful importers often bankroll growers years in advance of delivery. They also bankroll roasteries by extending them forward purchase contracts for large quantities of reserve coffee and then net 30 terms on delivered green coffee. The liquidity and expertise traditional importers provide is a huge benefit to our industry. They deserve much more respect than they are sometimes accorded. The liquidity and expertise traditional importers provide. Okay, so that's a traditional importer. I'm trusting you to do your job. They say to the farmer, yes. Farmer says, trust me, I'll do it. So they get paid. They get to support their family for the next couple of years. Nobody has to be financially worried, and everybody gets what they want. So that's traditional, okay? That's what I'm getting from this article. Smaller boutique importers typically specialize in coffee from specific countries or regions. They too provide expertise and financial backing to growers and roasteries, but their selections lean towards story coffees that highlight their strong personal relationships with producers and highly specific regional coffees. This isn't in any way bad. It just means that their selections are slightly more seasonally limited. Okay. A lot of buzzwords, marketing. Farmers are learning how to use marketing towards their benefit, which I think is generally a good thing. I think in a really hard industry, which is coffee farming or being a coffee producer, it's hard to make a living, right? We all knew this. So whatever you can do, man, I think that works. Direct-to-roastery relationships made via the internet or trips to origin can be rewarding and profitable. But inexperienced buyers frequently misunderstand how coffee at origin is sold. Yeah, I have no idea how that really works. Amateur importers frequently underestimate the complexity, expense, and legal and financial exposure of direct importing coffee. Okay, we have a couple of brands here. All right. You've seen a couple of these. I've not seen a couple of these. Best coffee in the world. When I speak with people who want to start roasteries because they've got some kind of awesome direct trade connection, it's often because they've had some kind of amazing coffee experience at origin and characterized by the claim it's the best coffee in the world. I'm sorry to burst your best coffee in the world bubble, but all harvested coffee is sold. That means ripe and unripe, moldy, mildewed. I don't know what that is. Mildy. Cherries are harvested from bushes and picked off the ground and ideally sorted out later during processing. Okay, interesting. In a lot of cases, the way that you get a small pile of 87-point coffee is to start with a much, much bigger pile of 83-point coffee. Basically, you strip out all of the best seeds. Okay, yeah. So when I learned that coffee was sorted, when I first learned that, I was like, oh my God. So first of all, typically in specialty coffee, they are picking each ripe cherry, right? So even though best coffee in the world, this, we can even argue and input this little pop-up video of the Poo coffee. ridiculous. Oh, it's smoother, whatever. So they're not going to waste it. Coffee is such a laborious job of production, and whatever they can get from it, they're going to get, right? So this sort of anecdotal, I've some kind of amazing coffee experience at Orange characterized by the claim it's the best coffee in the world. Yeah, you're kind of, one could be kind of clouded in their mind, sort of like, oh my God, that was such a cool experience. Like when people go to Hawaii and like go taste their coffee. But like, if I were to like, put it against something more rigorously tested, something actually that you didn't know the name, you didn't know it was from Hawaii, and you didn't go and taste it on a tour and stuff like that, it wouldn't have all this like shiny nostalgia attached to it. But yeah, you know what? People are going to do what they got to do. Sell that coffee. That's the big picture, is move the product, right? When you're in this kind of business. The bulk of green coffee is produced in less prosperous developing countries. The highest rated green coffees are almost exclusively sold at a premium to richer countries. The middle grades of coffee are sold and exported to large volume corporate operators. What's left behind, the lowest quality product, is consumed at origin. There are exceptions, but most of the coffee a visiting tourist will consume on the streets of a country like Nicaragua is probably a relatively low quality green. Yeah, that makes sense. I didn't think about this, but it's like they're going to export all their good stuff because they can get more money for it, right, in a developing country. And it's kind of like the brain drain in the Philippines. It's like, okay, well, I'm just trying to relate to this in something that I know about. It's like, well, we're going to send all of our most educated people out to the United States. And then, maybe that's why the Philippines is still a developing country. Or that's why maybe so many developing countries remain developing, because they export all of their resources. Smarter people or more educated people, higher quality green, for example, same thing. Forewarned is forearmed. Okay? That doesn't automatically make it bad. A fresh, low-quality green, carefully roasted and carefully extracted, might be pretty darn good. It is unlikely to hold up to the rigors of export, like baking for weeks and months in equatorial stranded shipping container. And it's probably a relatively poor cup in the care of an amateur roaster. Oh, yeah. Yeah. And I am not a hater. Steve is always defending himself. In a world, all coffee is good. I think he's just so honest, So, y'all who are like, maybe misconstrue this sort of like tone, don't get it twisted. It's very honest person writing this, I'm just saying that every time I'm evaluated the best coffee in the world, quote unquote, smuggled in from origin, it's been a poorly sorted, poorly processed, bug-bitten, and not infrequently infested mess. Rose-colored glasses. That's what it is, okay? Rose-colored glasses. This is all to illustrate that for the amateur importer, direct trade is fraught with peril, where the biggest peril is not knowing what you don't know. Yeah. I've been approached a lot of people like, hey, we have this cool coffee for you. I can get it for you, whatever, right? I've been approached sometimes, in an email and a DM, because I make YouTube videos about coffee. And I'm like, the best that this person could offer me, I could never take full advantage of, because I'm not educated in terms of green buying in the way that I think I should be. So I'm just like, and I'm not going to dedicate the time, the energy, the money, whatever, to become qualified. So I let somebody like Hasea do that, or somebody like Mill City Roasters do that. I go to Hasea because it's convenient, and I have a relationship there, and the shipping is much more affordable. Shipping's a big deal, you know what I'm saying? For somebody who's small like me, where it's like every dollar really does count, where profit is not the number one thing on my mind, So Yeah. This is all to illustrate that for the amateur importer direct trade is fraught with peril. I'm going to read it again. Where the biggest peril is not knowing what you don't know. Okay, so that's exactly why I don't directly trade. Even though when I was first learning about direct trade, I was like, yo, I can just get to the source. Just completely naive to all of the things that I don't know. You don't know what you don't know, okay? If forewarned is forearmed, now you know. But dude, like, if you didn't know to come to this blog or somebody didn't straight up tell you, how would you know, right? That's just comes with the territory of learning a new skill like coffee roasting. There's just so much, right? And I'm not saying you have to inundate yourself immediately with all this knowledge. I mean, that's great if you have that energy to do that and the time and all that stuff. But, I mean, you know, hopefully videos like this give it more access and more people will know. All right. Importers do not lie. Contrary to one of the more deeply held fictions of mostly very amateur online coffee roasting community, ding, 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 green coffee importers do not manipulate their cupping scores. Okay, good. Importing is a trust and relationship-based business exactly the same way commercial coffee roasting is. We talked about manipulating cupping scores. We talked about that. I forgot when. If you know, put it in the comments so I can go find that video. No one succeeds in this industry for any length of time misleading customers that don't want to be misled. Yeah, sucks to be lied to. It's more often that amateur operators don't have the equipment and or skill to professionally evaluate green coffee. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff that goes into it. Specifically, if you haven't been professionally trained to use the SCA Greens grading form, and you haven't passed the Coffee Quality Institute Q grader test, you should probably assume that there is something you don't understand about coffee grading before you accuse an importer of inflating a 83-point coffee to 86. Anyone who tells you otherwise is completely full of goose grease. I think Steve would use a different word on the phone with me. Worthwhile amounts. When I'm scanning a trusted importer's website, looking for something good, I'm probably most interested in recent imports of fresh crop coffees. Okay. I do this because of the shelf life of fresh green coffee is 6 to 12 months. Okay. The shelf life of fresh green coffee is 6 to 12 months. All right. If I'm putting in the work to develop, now this is subjective already, right? I told you guys when we made that vlog about old coffee and, when is too old? Subjective. I thought it kind of tasted old. And people were like, I don't taste it. I was like, sweet. I need to be able to sell it long enough and often enough to make the effort worthwhile. Fresh crop coffee allows me to purchase more and gives me more time to sell it before it ages out. Yeah, for sure. He's just saying, the fresher the coffee I get, the more time I get to sell it because it's not going bad. If I'm clocking off something like 100 pounds a month and I want to scale, I should be investing in at least a couple of full bags of each coffee. If I'm doing 500 pounds a week, I should be looking at a minimum of 6 to 10 pounds bags of each. Okay, this is really good. You've got to know your numbers. This is something I'm really going to touch because I don't roast that much. So it's really just like kind of go as I want, whatever works for me at that time. It's willy-nilly. So I would urge you, if you're in the beginning stages of planning your roastery and how much should I buy and what do my numbers look like, pay attention to that part right here, the numbers part of this article. That doesn't mean I have to take delivery of all 10 bags today. I can contract for 10 bags, take a couple now, pay a minimal storage fee monthly for the balance, take delivery, and be invoiced for maybe 2 per month for 5 months. Wow, okay, that's cool. I didn't know that. This is a terrific way to ensure your coffee is available over time and safely stored in a good way to manage your cash flow. Right, because not a lot of roasteries have the space to store it all. And in a way that is conducive to longer shelf life of the coffee. If you store green coffee in a hot-ass warehouse, it's going to degrade. If you store green coffee in a cold-ass warehouse, it's going to degrade, okay? Or if it's wet or whatever, right? So green coffee is like it's a living thing. It's always changing. So it's definitely temperature sensitive. Did I mention that professional importers are pretty dope? It's pretty dope. Their whole job is to help you succeed and help you scale. Be a human and make it a point to show them a little love. Yeah, for sure. I mean, I'm always like, my relationship is with Hasea. That's just where I get my green. I already explained why. But, you know, it's blogs like these that give what I do a little bit more validation as well. I'm like, cool, I'm on the right choice. And that's the beauty of Mill City Roasters is like they want to educate you. They want the whole of the industry to be educated so that as we grow this industry together, you know, everybody's winning, everybody's educated, everybody's on the same page. It's a good thing. The tyranny of choice. The first challenge I have is choice. At any given time during the harvest season, I might be faced with 50 different fresh crop coffees to choose from. Yeah. This is where a good relationship with a professional importer is golden. Buying from someone I like and trust saves me a lot of uncertainty, anxiety, and risk. If my relationship is solid, I'll ask them to suggest coffees that might work best for me. That means maybe 3 samples instead of 9. Yeah. Or maybe just purchasing the coffees they recommend. Relationships like this are built over time and with experience, but they all start when you start asking your importer, what can you recommend? What do you think? Yeah. If you have trust issues or feel like asking shows too much vulnerability, build up to it by asking restaurant servers and baristas, what's your favorite? And then risking it all by going with it. So don't have trust issues. Learn to build trust. Eventually you'll learn something about yourself and others. That's funny. It may sound nuts to you, but I actually do this myself because I do the exact same things every day on a nearly metronomic schedule. And I think life is too interesting, exciting, and precious not to leave some human experience to chance. Such a great writer. Sample roasting teaser. All right. How's my battery doing? Good. What you sample roast on, okay, and how you roast samples matter a lot. A lot. But we'll skip sample roasting as it's its own subject. Yeah. For the nonce, we'll assume you manage a successful series of sample roast at least 8 hours ago, and you are now ready to analyze the results. All right. Pretty samples. Price versus quality versus quantity. All right, here's the goods. Purchasing green coffee is an investment, and the investment decisions you make are not academic. As an owner, whatever you don't spend, you keep. In nearly all cases, you're investing in coffees that stand out in terms of flavor relative to price to help you stand out from the competition. The single biggest driver of price is scarcity. Okay, scarcity, not quality. That's why Panama Geisha, which is a very, very small plot of land where they grow this very good tasting coffee, but it's also very scarce. And that drives it up more, I guess, than the flavors. Okay. High quality micro lots are priced more on the micro part and less on the intrinsic flavor. Okay, I just said that. Quality of the green. This is the precise reason Jamaican Blue Mountain, Hawaiian Kona, Panamanian Geisha coffees are frequently premium priced. Yeah, that Hawaiian Kona, I don't think is that good, honestly. In relativity to like if I can get a $7 green versus this, $35 green. In terms of flavor, it's novelty almost. Although Geisha is very damn good. Okay, so is Jamaican Blue Mountain. I've had really good ones and I've had okay ones. Coffees like this are frequently good and not infrequently great, but priced up by demand relative to supply. Yeah, I've had that $100 coffee from Clatch, and I'm like, damn, this is good. $100 good? I don't know. Countries like Brazil, Ethiopia, Indonesia, and Colombia all produce massive quantities of coffee. Generally speaking, you'll find higher quality coffees at lower prices from countries that produce more coffee than countries that produce less. Yeah, I mean, if you're not a hype beast, don't be a hype beast. I mean, I don't know, that's my personal opinion, but you can do whatever you want, but meh. Good to try things once, I'd say. Good to try things once. You got the budget, good to try things once. Sensory analysis, aka cupping. For people new to professional coffee, cupping can be intimidating. Battery, good. Cupping requires the development of some basic sensory analysis skills. First, you'll learn to actively focus your senses on the taste of coffee. Then you'll systematically build an internal library of industry-calibrated descriptors that are meaningful to yourself and industry peers and maybe your customers. This is Lauren, I think. Avoiding dead-end sensory analysis. As a professional, I need to find the value in every cup. The amateurs make all coffee a binary choice between good and bad, which eliminates the possibility of additional experience, insights, and creativity. Yeah. See, this is where I got hung up. I was like, yo, this was my biggest first mistake, was thinking that everybody was going to approach coffee the way I wanted them to, just because I thought it was better. And it was an arrogance that I had to cup out of myself. To find the value of every cup, approach every coffee with the idea that all coffee is good. We do this because a lot of like and dislike about intensity that can be manipulated in the roast profile are solved in extraction. There's something worthwhile in every coffee. Stretching your imagination to find it will only make you a better roaster. Yeah. For sure. Analyzing coffee quality in terms of good and bad is the prognostication of stillborn craft. Wow. The word choice. Sweetness, number 1. Okay. All right. This is the goods now. Pay attention. Sweetness is number 1. The first thing I'm looking for in the cup is sweetness. Do I do that? Sometimes you do that. I think you do it unconsciously. You're looking for something that tastes good. As a professional, we're analyzing and going, I'm not professional, but like, if you are going to be a professional, from a professional's point of view, sweetness is number 1. Coffee is characterized by innate bitterness, and weirdos that don't like coffee are often extremely sensitive to bitter flavors. The first way we ameliorate bitterness in coffee is choosing coffees for maximum sweetness. Okay. So he's saying, in order to please more people, make sweet coffees. Develop profiles that develop sweet coffees. Okay? Acidity is a close second. Acidity is vital because acidity magnifies the perception of sweetness. Acidity is vital because acidity magnifies the perception of sweetness. Okay. Yeah. When you have a good milk chocolate bar, even a dark chocolate bar, there is that in there at some point that makes the sweet sweeter, I would say. Try it next time you eat a chocolate bar, okay? Literally every soda worth the title soda lists the first 3 ingredients as water, sugar, and citric acid. Okay, got it. I'm looking for sweetness with supporting acidity sufficient to balance out the bitterness. Sort of, yes. But it's coffee, so we're not even close to being done yet. All right, I'm having fun. Now. The body slam. We haven't discussed body, that mysterious viscosity or mouthfeel plus aftertaste that makes coffee almost totally unique. Yeah, that's why I don't like tea, man. I mean, you get an aftertaste, but you get an astringent body with tea. We can get a bit of sugar and a titch of acidity out of tea. Look, we're just talking about tea. Kombucha, soda, and maybe even buttermilk. Coffee has a texture. Long chain molecules that sit on the surface of our tongue with a highly satisfying, lingering, tactile experience. The best coffees have a body and coating mouthfeel a bit reminiscent of something like potato chips. Oh, I love potato chips. No matter how much you've had, you almost always want more. Or maybe that's just me. It's me too, for sure. If you're having a hard time understanding body, maybe try chewing your coffee and focusing on the aftertaste. Is it thick, lingering, and pleasant, or thin, astringent, and sour? What I just say. If this idea feels excessively mysterious and vague, find someone who knows more than you to do a practice with, and or take a professionally run cupping class. Yes, cupping class is very good. What do you mean chew? Ask those questions. All right. Balance and intensity for the win. Oh, another thing on cupping class. Sometimes you're going through the motions. You're tasting, you're feeling, you're chewing, whatever that means. And you're like, I don't have the words. So until we have the words to connect that to our mind, there's no bridge to bring to life or to really learn something when you're going through the motions and doing something more tactile or physical. But if we don't have the words, we can't bridge it to our mind and we can't learn the lesson properly or fully or completely. Okay? That's how I see it anyway. All right. Battery. Balance and intensity for the win. A winner coffee is a coffee that presents an interesting and satisfying balance of sweetness, body, and acidity, and a marginally higher intensity of all three. A marginally higher. Yeah. Because when you're on the cupping table, you're like, what's better, 1 or 2? 1 or 3? 1 or 4, right? So you just go back and forth. 2 or 4? 5 or 2? Things like that. And you're like, okay, this one is marginally higher in all 3, so this scores better. We're talking about peak flavor or, things like that. So a coffee with more coffee in it will present as a sweeter and more balanced at a light roast, creamier and richer at a medium roast, and more successful as a dark roast. A winter coffee will make you look like a genius at the roaster. The flavor wheel. The SCA flavor wheel is a set of 110 descriptors published by the Specialty Coffee Association, organized into specific sequence of patterns from lower to higher intensity. These include origin flavors, unique to the varietal, processing origin and terroir, processing flavors and defects such as ferment and mildew, and roast flavors ranging from caramelization to char. Sequence of patterns from lower to higher intensity. All right, I'm not sure I understand that fully yet. Like as you move out on the wheel, does it become more intense or inside? I don't know yet. All right, specific descriptors provide coffee professionals with a calibrated vocabulary to describe specific flavors in coffee. If I describe a tasty Meyer lemon or stone fruit or a horrible medicinal in a coffee, everyone else has a pretty good idea of what I'm tasting. These descriptors are important. All other things being equal, a more clearly differentiated flavor set means a coffee is more cleanly processed and vice versa. Okay. Sorry, I'm just processing. Then, too, a greater clarity of flavors in the cup points to a marginally higher intensity of those flavors. Then, too, a greater clarity of flavors in the cup points to a marginally higher intensity of those flavors. This is important because the elevated temperature of post-first crack development time depletes these flavors. Yeah, okay. The longer you roast after first crack, starting out with more good stuff ensures you end up with more good stuff at the end of the roast level. Yeah. like 83 points versus 87 points type of green. Identifying flavors in coffee like this is a physical skill, but you do have one huge advantage. Your brain is hardwired for pattern recognition. Once you have associated a descriptor with a flavor, your ability to differentiate that flavor is enormously greater. Yeah, so like I was saying before, go to the cupping class. Cupping class tells you, we are tasting stone fruit right now. And you go, oh, that's stone fruit? Yes, that's stone fruit. Boom, you've made a bridge. So the next time you taste it again and you go practice again, you're like, oh yeah, this is stone fruit. This is Meyer lemon. And yeah, that's just what you got to do. That's the work. The more you practice, the easier it will be and the better you will be at it. It is common to describe coffee in terms of these descriptors to customers and peers, but our coffee choices are often weighed more on their balance of sweetness, acidity, and body, and the relative intensity in the cup. This is cool. This we should probably print. Okay. Ultimate cupping, Q grading. Okay. Not something I will pursue, but, I trust other people to do that. All right. You can read about that. What's the point? The point of all this is to simply do your best. Yeah. Don't overthink it, The only path to real mastery is sustained effort over time. I've heard him say this over and over. No one starts out fully formed. Craft is developed by small insights and victories over the years. The amount and quality of work you put into your coffee will dictate the rapidity of your professional development and the ultimate level of your skill. Too many people labor under some version of imposter syndrome. Oh, that's why he gave it to me. That's why he told me to read this. My message is to cut yourself some slack. God. Embrace the process and do the best you can with what you have to work with. Yeah, I tell people this all the time and I don't take my own damn advice. Who knows? Coffee might even become fun again. Yeah, don't make yourself crazy. It happens though. It happens. And then forgive yourself for making yourself crazy. Ultimately, the only real measure of your success is your ability to source quality greens, develop successful roast profiles, and sell enough coffee to enough people to support and grow your business. Okay? The most important decision you will make in coffee is whether or not to put in the effort. Well said. All right. I'll put this link in the description. It's a good article. I really enjoyed that, actually. I learned a lot. It validates a lot of the things that you will teach yourself throughout the years. And then, for some reason, you forget them. And so it's good to have reminders, okay? So even though, maybe you knew something here, but maybe you didn't, or maybe you reminded yourself once again to be kinder to yourself if you have imposter syndrome or have dealt with it in the past. Me, not so much anymore. I've come to really be okay with it and just flip the switch of like, hey, I'm going to do what I'm going to do. I'm going to do my best. I'm going to put in the work that I can give right now, the effort that I can give right now, and I will suffice. That will suffice, okay? And if my customers are happy, which it's a very small little pool, I am happy too, All right. Long video? Good video. Links in the description. We will see you in the next one. Bye.